Hot Tech to Toast, and it's brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen. Yeah, you know Siegfried and Jensen with 30 years of serving Utah. Riley Jensen sitting in for DJ today. So we got interesting quarterback situations in our state here with Utah State. A couple guys got a lot of experience. And then BYU, I was thinking about this, they've got 4 guys who have college playing experience, right? You've got Hillstead and Finnegan, Finnegan up at Boise State. We know Hillstead there at Utah State. And then you got Retzlaff had 4 games last year, and Bohannon, obviously, had a lot of experience at Baylor. But then you got Utah, and they got Cam Rising, and then they, behind him, had nothing with Rose and the younger Wilson, neither of whom had played in a game. So they go out and get Sam Heward, who played, was a local kid from Seattle. Father Damon played at Washington. Uncle Brock's broadcasts nationally. I think Damon does Washington games. So he's got good stock there, and they bring him in. Now, from your experience, how difficult is it to be a quarterback? Now, Rising is the guy, and we hope that he stays healthy. But if something should happen, didn't they have to bring in a Heward, not have a ton of experience, but the other guys have 0. So how difficult is it to go in a game, in a college game, for the very first time, major college football, for the very first time, you have 0 experience?
Oh, I think there's a little bit of pressure there. I think it's definitely a different feel. For the guys that are great competitors, they've already been putting a lot of pressure on themselves to be top level. But I think, golly, even it's a really good question, because even for me, being a junior college guy, I felt like I had college experience, even though it wasn't Division I. Right?
Played snow.
But these guys haven't played. They haven't played a game since high school. Right? And it's just a different set of skills. It's a difference. Now, I will say this. It doesn't matter whether you're playing in front of 80,000 fans or whether you're playing in front of 400 in a high school game. Like, once the game starts, a lot of the pressure goes away. You're just in the middle of it. You're in it. But what you like about bringing in somebody with experience is they know what they need to do in the offseason to be prepared for that moment. Right? So a guy who has game experience knows what it takes to play at a high level in front of fans, in front of pressure, in front of media, in front of social media. They know what it's like to be attacked a little bit in their personal lives, all that kind of stuff. And their care meter is a little bit less high for all that kind of stuff. Now, it's exciting. You get your first win. You get your first opportunity to get your name in the paper and be highlighted a little bit. That's exciting. Right? But I think it's harder to deal with the criticism and to deal with the constant scrutiny that some of these quarterbacks have to go through. And I think that's where a guy with experience is kind of nice, right?
What do you think about this Heward coming in? He's going to be eligible immediately, and he missed spring ball, obviously, but they've got off-season workouts begin here another week or so, and then training camp will start in August, obviously. Do you look for him to make a serious push to be the backup to our guy, Cam Rising?
I think it is extremely difficult. I don't know if you've seen some of these things from like Orlovsky online or Jake, maybe you can help me with this name. The old Missouri quarterback that was a backup for the Saints and the Chase Daniel.
Yep.
These guys have been putting out some like really, really cool pieces as far as quarterbacks go about how much you have to learn, like in OTAs for the NFL, let alone for like a college playbook. I mean, these playbooks are like hundreds of pages long. Now, it's a little bit deceiving in the sense that like you can run one play out of 10 different formations and it's still the same play to you as a quarterback, just as long as you understand the concept. However, there's a lot that goes into it. So I don't see Heward personally as a guy that comes in and is immediately a backup, unless he's just one of those like savant type of guys on the offense because it's extremely hard to learn the vocabulary. It's hard to learn, like, there could be some plays, there's a typical play in football where your tight end or your inside slot runs a drag route. The next guy runs a square in, and then your back runs what we call a little delay route. And the way that you read it is drag, square in, delay, right? That happens in a million different offenses, but it's all different language. It's all different in the way that the offensive coordinator likes to read it. Like some coordinators like to try and like get it to the dig. Some people are like, take the drag every time you get it. And then the next coordinator will be like, well, I want you to read it, and then if you don't like it, then you dump it down. And so you also have to learn kind of the language and the translation of that offense for your offensive coordinator. So I'm not saying that it's completely out of the realm of possibility, but I think it would be a little bit difficult for a guy coming in at this point to learn the offense fast enough and be a legitimate contender for backup.
So he played a little bit at Washington, and then he went to Cal Poly. Now, people will say, well, Cal Poly, and he played 9 games there, 2,200 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, and obviously isn't the highest level. Why did he go there? Well, he went there, I would assume, largely because he played at Kennedy Catholic up there in Seattle, and the coach was Cal Poly's OC. I think that's why he went there, right?
Yeah.
And so he got a little bit of experience. He'll be 22 years old in June 17th. So he's been around a little bit. So couldn't I argue that his Washington and Cal Poly experience are akin to your junior college experience?
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the timing of coming in right now and trying to learn that playbook. But no question, he has play experience.
But wouldn't you rather have that than none?
Yes, absolutely.
So if Rising goes down, they turn to guys who have not been in the game. Now, Rose has been in the system for 3 years. But after the bowl game last year when they played a walk-on, Kyle said that the kid wasn't ready. He'd been there for 2 years. And Rose's father, if you go back and look at social media, was not happy about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's still there.
Yeah, he stayed. Yeah, everybody else left, but he stayed. Got to give him credit for that. Kid's got to be ready at some point.
Right.
So even though he doesn't have experience, how much can being around all this time make up for not actually having been in the game if something should happen to Rising?
Well, I will say this. The fact that they went out and got a guy this late is an indicator of how they feel about Rose. They don't feel great about it. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't go with it if he was the backup and that's all they had and he was the best they had. I mean, obviously they're going to go with that. Uh-huh. But to me, it's an indicator that they're not super happy. Just like it's an indicator to me that at BYU, they're not super happy with what they have.
Good point. Same situation.
I don't know that any of those, I mean, with the exception of Cam Rising, I don't know that any position in the state of Utah at quarterback, any school in the state of Utah at the position of quarterback is completely sealed up and wrapped up. And
I would say exactly Utah State.
Like. What's that?
The Utah State kid, the Iowa transfer?
Well, I think the Iowa transfer is by far the leader, but I don't think that everyone feels like it's just like a done deal. I mean, from the people that have watched it and the people that I've talked to, they feel like that's the guy.
Yeah.
Right. But like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you got a University of Utah transfer who has Rose Bowl experience.
He does.
Like
his very first throw in the Rose Bowl was a touchdown.
I mean, it's not like
he wrestles pigs. I mean, come on.
I mean, I know the whole pig farmer, and I'm sure people are singing "We Are Farmers."
Okay, I got it.
But he's a good player. He's not. He's a good player, and so's the quarterback from Iowa. So, look, all of this stuff is really interesting to me. The thing that is a little bit hard for me to wrap my head around now is coaches always acted kind of like guys that transferred were damaged goods before.
Uh-huh.
And now that's all they go out and get. Like,
Yeah, true.
it used to be that, like, oh, okay, what's the problem? The guy transferred. Something's wrong with him. Why would he leave that school to come to this school? Well, because he wants to play.
Uh-huh. Yeah, understood.
He doesn't want to be a backup. Well, he must not be good. But now it's like, hey, forget all these high school quarterbacks when we can get a guy that has, like, college experience somewhere.
Yeah.
We're going to bring him in.
Well, that's what BYU did.
I know, but it's really interesting to feel an about face of coaches, like, strategies and thought processes on transfer quarterbacks. It's like, oh, I got to go get it. We got to go to the portal. It's not bringing in a really, really good high school quarterback. It's not. We've got two in the wings that are waiting that we've really developed really, really well.
Yeah, but those guys take off.
Right. No. I mean, I get it.
I can tell you that Utah's frustrated that Nate Johnson left.
Right.
That's a fact.
Although I did not think he was a great passer.
But it's a fact that they're frustrated that he left.
I can
tell you that without a doubt.
I did not love his passing ability. There was too many, like, worm burners that he threw.
Understood. And we'll see what happens down the line. I mean, it's a rotating carousel of quarterbacking all over the place.
Well, I mean, what was the guy that transferred to Indiana that they took over Jackson Dart? Jack Tuttle. Mm-hmm. I mean, that guy was angry from, like, the third week at being at the University of Utah.
They took him over Zach Wilson.
Over Zach Wilson. There was another guy that they took.
Peter Costelli.
Yeah, Costelli, that they were pretty happy about.
Now at Northern Colorado.
Who they took over Jackson Dart.
They thought he was better than Jackson Dart.
Yeah. Right.
Would Jackson Dart have gone to Utah if they offered?
Well, I think undercover Utah offered, but they offered way late, and so it didn't have all the feels.
So there wasn't enough love? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, look, you're talking about his dad played at the University of Utah.
He did.
Played for Witt.
Did.
I don't know that, I don't know that there was a lot of love, like a ton of love for Jackson Dart. There was love. Don't get me wrong. There was love, but by then he'd already been feeling the love from BYU, USC, a lot of other places, right? Mm-hmm. So by the time they got in the game, I don't know. Maybe it was a little late. I don't know. I don't know the exact, scenarios there. But my point was with Jack Tuttle. I mean, that guy was unhappy from, like, the third week that he wasn't playing. His dad was on the phone after games, like, talking to schools. You know what's funny about this is, and this is true across the board in all sports, is, like, these parents think they're being real sneaky by, like, talking to another school or, like, reaching. All these coaches talk. Uh-huh. Hey, just so you know, such and such parents are reaching out to me because they don't want to be accused of tampering. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Not that it matters, but
no, but, like, and if it's good friends, like, between, hey, just so you know, such and such reached out to me. I can read you the exact text if you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all these parents think they're being, like, super, like, behind the scenes, like, working a deal like Jack Tuttle's dad. Everybody knew it. Everybody knew he was working a deal.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they're trying to do what they think is right, and there's no book on parenting. Parenting is about hopefully for you make fewer mistakes than good decisions. But
trust me, I'm not actually being critical of, like, parents trying to do what's best for their kid or, like, trying to do the right thing. But when you think you're doing that and, like, nobody's talking to each other, it's just simply, like, not.
So Utah went 0 for 2 on Corner Canyon quarterbacks. Then are they going to go 1 for 3?
Oh, I mean, obviously they gave Isaac Wilson plenty of love.
Right,
and he's there and he's happy.
But is he going to be good?
Oh, I think he's going to be really good.
Really good. You think he will start at the University of Utah?
I do. He will start at the University of Utah.
Not this year, obviously, but next year?
I don't know what year it'll be, but he'll start at the University of Utah.
Well, because the competition will be open next year. Position will be open.
That will be the time to make a good run.
Yeah.
Right?
But you're not willing to say that in 2025 he will be the starting quarterback.
And listen,
which
this
is fine.
I hate being critical of young quarterbacks because this isn't a criticism at all. But if you're comparing him to if you're comparing him to his older brother, right? Isaac Wilson, and he ran a ton better his senior year than he did in the years before that. I don't think he's quite as athletic as Zach.
Right.
I think he might be and that's a big statement, but he might be a little bit more accurate at this point.
Well, he doesn't have to be better than Zach. He has to be better than the competition.
Right. Well, and so to me, that's why, I mean, for sure he's a starter at the University of Utah, but if you're...
For sure he's going to start?
He will start at the University of Utah.
Not a game or two. Not a game.
No. He'll be the starter.
Yeah, you know what...
He'll be a starter.
All right. There it is, man. That's good to hear. You know more about it than I do.
Well, it's a super competitive family. This is a family that's way invested in football.
Obviously, yeah.
I mean, his dad has coached him very, very well. Both brothers very, very well.
Uh-huh.
I think his dad's very realistic about that position. His dad's as critical of him as anybody is, right? And then he's also had two other brothers that have played linebacker because dad was like, look, you guys aren't quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I think his dad's very realistic.
Understood.
So and then he's been under the tutelage of Care, who obviously knows how to throw the football around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't see why he wouldn't be the starter there.
Okay, there it is, man. Well, we'll see what happens in the coming years. We'll all be around. You'll be around, Yak?
I'll be here.
Riley Jensen will be here. I'll be here.
You're acting like this is a big stretch, like I've just called the shot.
I knew you'd get nervous. I knew you'd get nervous.
I don't even feel. No, I'm not
Pointing in the right
nervous.
field stands. You're planning in those seats over there.
I don't feel like this is a big stretch for me to say that Isaac Wilson will be the starter at Utah. You're making like this is like some sort of like I'm calling a shot. Breaking news!
Don't be all defensive, man. You made a statement, and you're going to stand by it.
I am.
He's filling DJ's role perfectly right now.
I don't know why this is so shocking. I can't believe I'm defending the fact that he'll be the starter.
Why? I didn't say anything to put you on the defensive. Jeez.
Yeah, you did. You kind of made it sound like I was Babe Ruth, like pointing out over the left field fence.
So you said he'll be the best quarterback in Utah history. We got to go to break. We'll get to it next right here, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
If I were the NBA, I want coaches back in suits. I don't really like the sweatsuit thing, but I would get why a coach would never want to do that ever.
How dare you expect somebody to dress professionally in a situation that calls for it? Put them in uniform like the baseball. Some baggy shorts and a tank top.
Tibbs out there in a Knicks uniform.
He'd look great.
Look awesome. It would change who you hire as head coaches. You would almost exclusively get former players.
That look good in the uniform?
Stan Van Gundy's never getting another job. Will Hardy would look good. Fine.
What you're saying is like you're going to skew young.
Absolutely.
Not old, because even athletes get older, and when athletes get older, things get droopy.
Yeah, Doc Rivers is out.
Quinn Snyder would look so spindly.
Be a short shorts guy or a long shorts guy? Trying to look good for the job.
Trying to sweat something
look
out.
the part.
What's going on? Like OC when he's trying to trim weight for a fight.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK proudly presented by Murdoch Hyundai, Utah's #1 Hyundai dealer for 18 years in a row. And speaking of in a row, Riley Jensen sitting in for DJ. He said the younger Wilson kid will start at Utah
news
for 4 years in a row.
Breaking news. Ham and cheese sandwiches are good.
Are they hot or cold?
Toasted ham and cheese sandwiches are good.
So my wife loves hot ham and cheese.
I don't want to get into your personal life.
And let me tell you about
I don't
this.
want to get into your
No, this
personal
is
life.
I promise you'll laugh.
I'm already laughing.
You'll laugh even. This is a true story. You are dirty, so I can't help you.
You're hurting my feelings now. Hey, by the way, I also predicted that Isaac Wilson will be a starter at the University of Utah. Breaking news!
Well, some people don't think so. You do. You know more about it than I do, so you put it out on the line.
Wow.
And then you got all defensive about it.
I didn't get defensive.
You're backpedaling
You're making it
better
sound like
than the Blue Mamba, Kobe Bryant, the
go put it on
cornerback.
DraftKings now. Book it.
You're backpedaling better than the Big 12 cornerback Kobe Bryant at Kansas, which is Cobee, by the way. It's not Kobee.
Cobee.
That's how he spelled it. Yeah.
Wow.
Didn't he had a fumble return or a pick six against
His mom from
Cougs.
Utah?
He
Is that-
essentially ended Parker Kingston's night with
Oh,
the
he
one
lit him
hit.
up. That was one.
Fumbled it,
right
picked
in
it
the
up,
beginning
and
of the game.
rumbled into the end zone right at the start of the game.
Yeah.
Set the tone right
This
away.
BYU gifted Kansas.
Is
14
Kobe
points.
Bryant's mom from Utah with the special spelling?
I don't think so.
Cobee. That's how they spell it?
That's how you spell it.
It's like spelling Riley, Ryleigh here in Utah.
You lost me.
Riley.
We're going to St. George to golf. This was several years back, right? And we're going to Bloomington. I got somebody get us on. It's a country club at Bloomington. And we get there around 2 o'clock. And we're going to play 18, and then we're going to have a nice dinner. But we're really hungry right now, right? So they got this little snack shack. Bloomington is a country club. It's private. You go there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's packed. A lot of older people play. But you go at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's vacant. It's empty. It's deserted. They already played. They went home, take their nap, come back, play Parcheesi later, and hang out at the country club. So when we get there, what are you smiling for?
I don't know where this is going, so I'm excited.
So
I'm excited.
This little snack shack, right? And she goes up there and says, we'll split a hot ham and cheese. So we'll still have our appetite after we play 18. And we'll go have a nice dinner afterward, right? All right, sounds good. So she goes over there. There's nobody there. There's one gal in the little snack shack. It's like, she says, can I have an order of hot ham and cheese? Yeah, sure. Gal's cooking it. And she says to the gal, can you cut it in half, right? The gal says, oh, are you Sharon? She says, no, I'm Jackie.
Surely you jest. No, I don't. And stop calling me Shirley.
And there's nobody else around. And she thought the cooker was asking her, is your name Sharon?
No, I get it.
Some people don't. Some Ute fans out there. So that's become a running gag. And we told that
That's
to
like Airplane.
our friends' parents. And my friend has told me his father has repeated that scenario because that was so funny no less than 50 times to everybody he meets. So you do not think starting next year that Isaac Wilson will be sharing the quarterback position with anybody at the University of Utah?
Surely you jest.
Why are you so high on him?
I think he's a competitor. I think he's a player who wants to play well. I think he's a player that will grow under Andy Ludwig. I think he's going to see a whole bunch of chutzpah, and he's going to see a whole bunch of like moxie for a year under Cam Rising, and I think it's a perfect scenario for a really, really celebrated high school quarterback to come into that sort of a situation. And
Well,
learn.
then wouldn't he win the backup job this year? Wouldn't that be far more ideal? Because whoever wins the backup job this year has got to have a leg starting in 25 to be the
No.
starter. No?
Not necessarily.
No.
No.
Why not? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Because
Explain.
they're gonna redshirt him. They'll just say, well, we'll redshirt him.
Yeah, but you could still play in 4 games.
Right?
And Utah, man, if you listen to Joel Klatt, it's Ohio State and then Utah. I mean,
Joe
he's just
Klatt is kind of like, he's a big Utah fan.
huge. So they're going to be blowing out people
Which,
left and
I
right.
mean, I don't
Clearly,
give him a
does
lot of credit.
anybody
He's
doubt
from
that they're going to
Colorado.
blow out BYU on November 9th? Because I don't.
You think Utah's not going to blow out?
I think they are. So there's going to be opportunities for the youngster to play in 4 games and still maintain his red shirt. And my gosh, if he were to play in 10 games and appeal to the NCAA the way the NCAA is going, sure, you can have the year back. I mean, they're just granting waivers left and right. It's like there's no rules anymore.
I don't
Everything's
know
gone out.
I just don't know that, like,
4 games.
it really matters who the backup is this year because
Really?
you got to go win it next year. You got to be the guy.
Yeah, but wouldn't you have a leg up? Or no?
I mean, that depends on what position you're in. You would think that if you're Rose, you'd think, oh, I have a leg up because I'm the backup. But there's a whole year for Isaac Wilson to grow both physically, mentally,
Spiritually.
leadership-wise, spiritually, whatever.
In a football sense.
No, I'm talking about just in general. Like, there's a lot of growth that takes place in 1 year. in
Understood,
college
especially
football.
for a freshman.
So I don't think it's the end-all, be-all for Isaac if he's not the backup. I think it would be a big indicator.
No.
I think it would be a big indicator to Rose if he wasn't the backup this year.
That's time to go.
Yeah.
The bloom is off the rose.
So, oh my gosh. Sharon, Shirley, Bloom. Breaking news. I gotta call DJ after this. Just talk to him about how to handle this. It's been a rough morning.
Just roll with it, man. Stand on your own
Stop
merit.
being so defensive.
If you feel something, run
I
with
know,
it.
but when you say that stuff, it's like I wasn't defensive. Now I want to punch you.
You're violent. Well, I just wanted nothing but to exude love to you.
I don't feel the love this morning. I'm not feeling a lot of love.
I told Yak to go let you in this morning.
Well, that was nice of you. That
We
didn't
could have
feel-
had you standing out there all
I
day
know,
long,
but
and it's raining.
usually it's you. And so I didn't
I
feel.
don't know. Yak said he was going.
didn't
I don't know
feel
why.
a lot of love.
I do what Yak tells me. When he says go get him, I go get him, and then he said I'll go get him today. I said okay. So he runs the show.
Thanks, Yak. I felt the love from you this morning. Still feeling it.
I would
You're
think
welcome.
that if he won the backup job, even at BYU, who's the backup this year leads me to think that would be the starter the following year.
How many years does Retzlaff have?
He's got 2.
2. So if he's the starter this year, then obviously he would be viewed as the starter next year. But I'm just saying if Bohannon wins it, would be the one because he's one and done. He's in and out this year, animal style.
Animal style?
Since I went with in and out. Right?
Okay.
He's in and out. He's your.
I
he's your
just
burger.
think that there's some uncertainty at BYU about who's going to be the guy and.
Well,
who's
if
gonna be the
Hillstead
backup.
or Retzlaff win it, then they play well enough to maintain it, then obviously they would be viewed as the starter going into 25. Right. I would
Man,
think.
if Bohannon didn't win it, that would just be hard on you mentally. 'Cause, I mean, it started out with so much promise for him.
Right, but I mean, he's been dealing with all this stuff anyway. This is his third school, and
Right.
I mean, Aranda decides to take a Big 12 quarterback. Didn't they win the Big 12 that year? And then, and then in the next offseason, who's the kid?
Blake Shapen.
Yeah, who's now? Where'd he go? He's gone.
Mississippi State.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the dominoes are just all over the place. So he beats out Bohannon, and Aranda was thought, he announced it after spring, and it was thought, okay, well, that's very classy because then you're telling Bohannon if you want to transfer, you can, and I'm giving you enough time rather than waiting to the third week of August. And I appreciate that. But then Shapen comes in, and the program stinks. Grimes basically got fired and is now, we didn't have time when we talked to the Kansas writer or whoever he is, the one who covers Kansas because he gave long answers, but he's now the OC at Kansas. So that whole thing, I would think, I mean, I'm not close to it, that wasn't managed well. And so Bohannon has had to deal with, and then he goes to South Florida and has injury and so forth. So if he can cut it loose and the shoulder is good, then he has the opportunity. My guess is that at BYU, just totally guess, we see at least 2 quarterbacks start, and it's not necessarily because of injury. Whereas at Utah, if we see two quarterbacks start, it is because of injury.
Right.
Because Rising, I mean, they'll never have a kid more experienced than Rising.
No, he's on
history
like,
of
it's like
time.
the 7-year program.
Yeah.
7-year.
When he
7-year
tries
starter.
to make the NFL, he will be 26 years old. Because I think he turned, you can look it up, I think he just turned 25.
Will he make it because of that, though? Because that's always been the cut against BYU quarterbacks. They're too old. They've served a mission and
Red
too
shirted or
old.
gray shirted.
Right. I'm not talking about talent. I'm talking about will they take a flyer on somebody like Cam Rising?
Yeah, Rising turned 25 a week ago today. He's 25 years old.
Yeah, so he'll be 26 if he makes it into the NFL.
Right, because it'll be next year. Right.
Yeah, wasn't somebody saying he was like the same recruiting class as like Justin Fields, and Justin Fields is on his second is on his second contract?
In the NFL, yes.
19, let's see, he was born in 99. Oh, yeah, 2018 was he committed
Class.
to Texas.
So he's the same as, is that Zach Wilson too?
Zach Wilson, I think it's only by months, but I think Rose is older, or Rising is older than Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. Is that big of a deal?
I don't know.
Because I don't think Cam Rising is projected as a big-time quarterback.
I'm not saying that it's a big deal.
Yeah, he was in the same class.
I'm saying that they've held it against BYU quarterbacks in the past, saying, "Oh, you're too old.
They're both 25 years old.
We can't take a flyer on you."
Yeah, which is all the more reason to come back and get the NIL.
Right. Well, I thought that was one of the reasons why he came back and took the NIL last year, was that he was going to be a lower round draft pick.
Yeah, but last year he had
would
the
make
injury,
more money.
though. He had no choice. I mean, he wouldn't have...
Sorry, the year, I'm thinking the year before. So he'd had a really good year, and...
Yeah.
And so he took the NIL because people were saying he'd be a low-round draft pick.
2 years ago, he made a statement after one of the games that he thought that would be it as far as playing home games at Rice Eccles in the postgame. That's the plan, I think he said. Well, the plan changed, and it changed again, I guess. So here he is 2 years later.
I mean, there's significant money.
Yeah, and hey, he's playing by the
college.
rules. I don't blame him.
No, I know. I'm not saying he's wrong.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you can make good money. You can make good money and set yourself up pretty good as a college quarterback now, as a great college quarterback. I mean, I think about guys like Chucky Keaton at Utah State. He could have set himself up really good, and I don't know that Chucky was ever going to be an NFL quarterback.
Understood.
And so those are the guys that I love get to take advantage of it a little bit.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. All right, crazy day and night in the NBA. We'll get to that next day with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
Hey, Draymond. What game you playing right now?
Uh-oh.
Where are you at? Is your team in the playoffs still? Oh, no, you're in the studio. Taking cheap shots at somebody that you publicly have said you don't like. You have an agenda.
I thought you were going to go full on that you publicly choked out, because that also happened.
That did too. The Warriors are a dying dynasty because you suck now.
Oh.
You're washed. You're not good anymore. Now the Warriors aren't good either. At least Rudy's in the playoffs.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. And now, your Rocky Mountain Chevy dealer's strong play of the weekend.
Timberwolves have possession. There's only 5 to shoot. They get it into Rudy along the baseline. He's got a tough fall away. It's up. Oh, it drops in. It could be your night. Rudy Gobert beats the shot clock buzzer with a heave and a prayer over Jokic from 18 feet out.
That's your Chevy Strong play of the game. And what do? They call in to JJ and Alex this afternoon?
Yeah, they'll call for, if you know the winning play, you win fabulous prizes.
All right. Fabulous prizes. That's a DJ expression. And we might as well keep it going. And we'll be off next Monday. So it'll be 2 Mondays from now, because next Monday is already Memorial Day. Memorial Day weekend is upon us at the end of the week. How about that, man? And the NBA continues to roll on. Denver loses to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota, what a series this was. I can't recall a series, and that's where DJ can come in because he can simply recall this stuff better than I can. But a crazy series where the home team loses the first 2, then comes back, wins the next 3, got game 7 at home, and they lose after being up 15, the largest margin ever to lose at halftime. I think it was 58-38 at one point. It's 20, and they still find a way to lose the ball game. Oh, my goodness gracious. Denver goes 1-3 at home. And Minnesota, psychologically, Riley Jensen joining us. He is a mental health performance coach. So game 6, Minnesota wins by 45 points, right? They're down 3-2 in the series. They win by 45 points. That's for the team that won the title last year. To go to Minnesota and lose is not that big a deal, but to lose by 45 points is incredible. Psychologically, maybe I didn't appreciate that as much as I should have, because I'm wondering how much confidence then did that give these guys from Minnesota, because they seem to play with a whole lot of confidence.
Well, I think one thing that's interesting, so and maybe you've heard of this study before or not, but they did a study from 2007 to 2011 in the NBA where they measured all of the high fives, fist bumps, back slaps, pats on the head for every single team in the NBA for 5
so
years.
All positive stuff?
These what they call nonverbal gestures, right?
Uh-huh. Okay.
So the team that had the most every single year didn't always win the regular season, but they won the championship every single year.
Really?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Now, you have to remember some of those teams are really, really good, right? So there's going to be a little bit more of that. But they arranged for this study to kind of take away that advantage, to kind of take away these things. And every single year they didn't win the regular season, but they won the championship. And then the culminating one was in 2011 where the Mavericks beat the Heat. And it was 4-1. It was 4-1, and then they go and they continue to extrapolate information. And the guy during that period of time that had the most of these nonverbal gestures was Steve Nash, and he won the MVP in 2007, 2008. And so there's all this indication that when teams have confidence and when they're giving themselves those type of things, there's an exchange of a chemical in the body called oxytocin. It's the same thing that exists when a mother is first with its baby a lot. It's this nonverbal touching that takes place, this bonding that takes place. And the indicators is that those teams win more often. And it's fairly scientific and fairly quantifiable. And when I was watching Minnesota throughout this series, it just felt like that was the team with the more nonverbal gestures that were going on the whole time, whether they won by 45, whether they lost a difficult home game. It just felt like this was a team that played together and that played for each other. Now I can't quantify that. I'm not sure that I can go through and break that down for you, but my overall feel was this is a team that likes each other. This is a team that plays for each other. And so I was a little bit surprised when I tuned in the second quarter and they're way down, because I was like, man, I did not see this loss coming for Minnesota. And then, of course, they came back and played phenomenal and won. But I'd like to see some of those statistics again, some of those quantifiable statistics about these nonverbal gestures that are really powerful in sport.
Good job, Riley.
Thank you.
I just gave him bones.
I feel a little more connected to you than I did before. Because the last
I haven't changed.
Well, no. You've changed. You've changed. You changed a lot. The nonverbal gestures.
No.
Yeah, you're not trying to like put me on the defense all of a sudden. Like it feels different.
You
to me.
went on the defense.
No. I
Right.
wasn't even defensive. It's like when you show up to work and everybody's like, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "Dude, I'm fine. What the heck is going on here? Are you okay?"
I gotcha. Yeah.
That's what you do. That's what you do. That's how you do radio. That's you and sports radio in a nutshell.
A nutshell. I knew nutshell was coming.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to put Bob Casper on the defensive next, and we're going to talk.
Let's do it.
Based on the text I got yesterday, he's ready to fire back.
And the PGA and everything else. So stay with us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.